Greetings everyone, and welcome back to Pep Organ. Today I'd like to talk about why I'm not an organ simp. In other words, why I'm not someone who blindly defends the organ and any organ in the world. This might come as a bit of a surprise as someone who runs Pep Organ, created a channel on YouTube entirely dedicated to the sharing and promotion of organ music. However, this is a little bit different to the sharing of and promotion of organs themselves. And so what I wanted to talk about today is why I actually don't support the promotion, the playing, and actually the restoration of many organs. I bring this up because recently I was contacted by a group who wanted me to advocate for the restoration of their organ. Maybe not restoration, but for the playing of their organ, which had gone into disuse due to the church having essentially closed down. I refused to do this. I refused to actually make a speech defending their organ for two main reasons. The first of which was that I had never heard the organ before. And so even though it was an organ that I was apparently meant to sort of relate to because it related to an instrument I've played before, I didn't actually know how the instrument sounded. I didn't know what the stops were like. I didn't know whether, maybe it didn't sound as good as it once had. All those kind of things. So the first issue was that I didn't know what this organ was. And then the second reason was, more to the point, is that I don't exactly see myself as an ambassador for the organ itself. I'm a person who has, I was not born an organist, and this is probably one of the most important points. And look, no one is born an organist, but particularly myself, I had not really experienced or heard an organ for the first 10 years of my life, and only in later years did I finally start to get the opportunity to play the instrument. Before that time, the organ was really something that I had no connection to, and my dream in life was to be a conductor, and maybe also play a bit of piano and violin, which were my instruments back then. I had no idea about the organ. But later on, I came to the organ, but I felt like a bit of an outsider to the organ world because I experienced the organ more through formal training rather than having experienced it growing up at a church. So for me, the organ was something to aspire towards, a glorious and beautiful instrument. And for me, it was important that it had a real beauty to the sound of the instrument. I was especially lucky, of course, that I played at Wollongong Town Hall for my early learning. And so that was one of the most beautiful organs I've ever played, created by Ron Sharp. And he talked about how organs that he built were not meant to be organs, but rather musical instruments. And I think his point there was that he himself was also not advocating that the organ was the most grand instrument, the best instrument, any more than other instruments. What really it comes down to is the quality of the instrument itself. And so for me, while I'd like to be helpful to people who are around the world who want to promote their organs, I also don't have it in me to entirely do that, because for me, it's important that we actually promote good organs, not just any organ. A lot of people do just want to advocate for every organ, and particularly people who are of the more of the heritage sort of side of things. They want every organ preserved. I'm more practical than that. I don't think every organ can be preserved. There just simply isn't the money, there isn't the interest in a lot of places. And the quality of the craftsmanship of the instrument themselves is also not worthy of restoration in the first place. And if we're honest with ourselves, we really want organs to be inspiring instruments. For me, my choice to not defend every organ that has ever been created is actually to help protect the organ from poor instruments, from poor quality, from poor performances in general. I also, don't want to promote poor playing of the instrument either. Playing that doesn't have any soul, that is, just pure notes and no spirit, no life. So it goes in two parts, right? The quality of the instrument and the quality of the player. I can advocate and play myself to try and share music that's beautiful, but I can't control the organs that people have available to them. But what I can do is be true to myself and only promote the organs which I think are really deserving of it. I'm very lucky to play at a lot of different venues that have beautiful organs around Sydney, and have had a few organs that I've got to play around the world that are also quite lovely. I don't think it's difficult to have a nice organ, but I think there are a lot of roadblocks that people run into. And one of the biggest ones is this illusion that if an organ is old, if it's historical, that it has some kind of higher quality. Maybe yes, from a heritage point of view, but then look at all the churches that are closing. And when you have a closed church, it doesn't matter how beautiful or how old it was, it's not being valued or appreciated. I also wanted to make a quick note on this video that I had heard the news that the Wanamaker organ is being played again. There's going to be a light show and there's going to be organ recitals, and I've heard that money has been raised for all of this. And I'm going to say that is actually a wonderful thing. I've always wanted that organ to be played again. My video about the Macy's organ being closed back in March was a warning that we don't have complete control over the venues where these beautiful organs are. But it was really reassuring to see that perhaps enough publicity from videos such as mine and all the news articles that were published may have encouraged people to actually go out there and get the organ playing again. So that's really good news on that side. So anyway, basically the idea is that I want to promote beautiful music, beautiful organs, but I don't call myself an organ simp. And, you know, perhaps in another world, I never would have been an organist. I might have just been someone who played another instrument. And so for me, it was never about the medium. It was more about the message, which I think you guys who've watched Pep Organ for long enough will know. It's about the message. We need to share beautiful music with everyone. We need to play music that is accessible in the real sense that it can be heard by and enjoyed by anyone who just walks into your church or your concert hall and can have a great time and enjoy the organ and learn something new, but also find comfort and enjoyment in some of the music that they may have heard before. That's what accessibility is all about. And it really troubles me, it upsets me actually, when I hear about concerts that are happening that just continuously rehash old music that people don't really like. So for me, we keep it accessible, we keep it straight to the point, promoting the message of beautiful music over these things that seemingly are so important, like that we actually have organs to play on. Maybe we don't need organs to play on in some places. Maybe we just need to focus on getting good musicians first. That's what comes first. The good musician, maybe the instrument, the organ comes later. Maybe start on a piano, maybe start on some other instrument. I've been promoting reed organs actually at my church, and reed organs are very cheap. They're very easy to get. You can genuinely just find people trying to throw out their reed organs, and they're nice instruments, and they themselves can do a good job. So we don't have to expect the very best instruments in the first place, but we do need to have the ethic behind it, the ethic of promoting beautiful, accessible music to get people on board. Then we can introduce them and try and promote these grand instruments, such as some of the ones that I get to play. With that all said, I hope you found this video interesting, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.